I pull up, roll the window down it. I pull up, roll the window down it. Yeah, I pull up, roll the window down it.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. 'Cause the love you give, you can't replace. That's why I spend my life with you.
Hi, hotties, kettles, tea stirs. You here for hot tea. All commentary is alleged, and in my opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only. So I thought I'd drop in really quick to make this one last video about the Fletchers for tonight. This isn't part 2 of the Fletchers breakdown. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a few things that was interesting that kind of go hand in hand with some of the things that I was pointing out in my last video. And as I talk about the Fletchers in each and every video, I'm going to reiterate that I like the Fletchers, the good, the bad, the ugly. I am going to be really critical of them and giving them a lot of criticism. However, I do appreciate them for sharing their honest story, for being open, for being honest and transparent, and for being the family to open up the conversation to a lot of family issues that we may or may not face. Because I do believe nobody's perfect. Everybody's families have issues and layers that needs peeling back and counseling and therapy. And the Fletchers also have a really good looking family. But let's get into this video. It's going to be quick. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the post notification bell so you guys are up to date each and every time that I upload. So I was on Instagram doing some scrolling, looking into the Fletchers family because y'all know I'm doing a deep dive on them. And once I get intrigued or interested in a topic, I really get interested in it. And one thing that I really thought was interesting, I was able to find everybody's Instagram except Alexi's and her husband. I was also able to find family group pictures with all of the children, including Kiki, but none really with Alexi. Alexi also didn't attend the family's Thanksgiving this year, and to be honest, based on the interaction that we saw at the family dinner, I wasn't really expecting everybody to really be on good terms because, in my opinion, there's a lot that we don't actually know when it comes to the family. And I do feel like that scene that we saw on Love and Marriage Huntsville at the family dinner was literally just the cherry on top. But one thing that I have stood on when it comes to speaking about the family dinner and the Fletcher family is the mere fact that they seemingly will not acknowledge Alexi's experiences. And please don't get in the comments talking about everybody else's experiences should be acknowledged as well, because that's literally the point that I've been making the entire time. Everybody's experiences have been acknowledged so far except Alexi's. So I don't need y'all to get in the comments and say everybody's experience matter, because that's the thing that I've been speaking about. The only reason we specifically talk more about Alexi is because they seemingly failed to acknowledge her experience, which intrigued me to open up the door for a deeper conversation. So I understand some of you guys' intent is not to understand what it is that I'm actually trying to say in the depth of the conversation, but to intentionally misinterpret my point, because instead of you putting yourself in Alexi's shoes, you're still focused on your own family situation. And truth be told, I believe Alexi reminds some of you guys of people that you don't like, which is another point that I want to make. In my opinion, when it comes to this topic, it seems as though some of you guys are not actually operating on a moral compass and actually operating on who you like and who you don't like. I say that because some people also got in my comments and they were saying, well, the entire family is saying the same thing about Alexi, so they can't be lying. And I felt that to be interesting because at one point, the entire cast was saying and repeating the same lie about Nell, but at the end of the day, that didn't make it fact. And for me, when I talk about certain topics, I'm operating on a moral code, or I'm operating from principle, whether I like the person or not. I also believe that is a disconnect as well. well. But that's also not to discredit what the family is saying and their experiences as well. Regardless, I want to see so much more about the Fletchers, and I hope that they can get a spinoff to where we can really get to know more about them. And I'm going to just tell y'all, producers, just to be honest, just go ahead and get the Scotts off the show. They're taking up too much TV time. The Fletchers need more TV time. There's a lot of stuff that y'all need to talk about with the Fletchers. We're done with the Scotts. They're not bringing anything. Everything is fake about them. Mind you, I haven't even gotten a chance to talk about the pregnancy thing because it's so trash. Like, we're tired of our time being wasted. Now, going back to the point that I'm trying to prove with Alexi seems to think that she is an outsider when it comes to the family. And I would have to agree from the outside looking in, especially because there were a few things that really stood out to me with the whole interaction with the family and Alexi that will prove if they don't treat her differently, they in fact have more of a bond together than they do with her. And realistically, even with that alone, I could see how she could feel or would feel like she's being treated differently. So again, when everybody sat at the table and failed to acknowledge how or why she could feel like she is treated differently, that is just another one of the obvious outside of her having a different mother. Next, a lot of this I do not blame Nell for, but I do blame her for some of the role that she plays when it comes to her daughters. I predominantly blame Chris because he is the man that is supposed to establish the structure within the household. And from what I'm seeing, he's failed to do that. And granted, nobody's perfect. There are a lot of fathers in our families that have failed to establish structure within the household, which is why so many of us can relate to this family dynamic. The biggest thing that stood out to me is when Nell said to Chris, "I told you you should have never invited her." That alone proves that Lexi is an outsider, or at the very least treated as if she is an outsider. But I do wonder, if Lexi was Nell's biological daughter, would Nell be on social media speaking this way about her daughter over a disagreement that they had at the dinner? In fact, the biggest question would be, if this was Nell's biological daughter, would she have gotten a luxury car, or would she have been considered for a luxury car like all the other children? There also are a few people that seem to think, why does she deserve a luxury car? Nell shouldn't have to buy her a luxury car. And I've already spoke about a woman's ego in depth in my last video, and a lot of you guys did not watch my part 1 breakdown of the Fletchers, and you should definitely check it out. The biggest question would be, why shouldn't she get a luxury car? After all, that is her father. And like I said in the comments, she is not a product of a side chick. She is Chris's first daughter. And when Kiki or Kayla said she thinks she's supposed to have everything we have, again, that will prove that she is treated differently, because why wouldn't she have everything that you guys have? And the only reason we would be under the impression that she would have everything that you guys have, because when Nell first introduced the family, she said she don't necessarily consider y'all a blended family. You guys are just a family. But in my opinion, her actions say a whole nother story. And like I said, the reason why you guys cannot put yourself in Alexi's shoes, because you guys were parent bullies. You guys bullied your children. Because in my opinion, it's clear to see a hurting child lashing out. But on Instagram, there was a commenter that said on their Thanksgiving post that Alexi didn't attend, was Lexi crybaby ass there ? Crying emoji. Nell responded when she didn't have to, and she could have left this mean comment about her stepdaughter in the thread, but she chose to acknowledge it, and she says, "No, ma'am." In my opinion, it's giving nice nasty, because you technically didn't have to acknowledge this comment, especially if your stepdaughter already feels as if she's an outsider, especially if your stepdaughter wasn't there at the Thanksgiving dinner. But as an adult, As a woman of a particular age with children and grandchildren, how does it settle even acknowledging that type of question on social media about your stepdaughter that already feels left out? How proactive and productive do you think it was to even acknowledge it? Next, another commenter said, did Lexi grace y'all with her positive presence? Crying emoji. Nell responds, no ma'am. And granted, Nell did answer other positive comments that were in her thread, but like I said, I am no newbie to pointing out nice, nasty behavior, passive-aggressive and microaggressive stepmothers because I've experienced a similar situation. So a lot of you guys also got in my comments and said, oh, child, please, Lexi is grown. She's almost 40. She needs to get over it. Yet her stepmom is doing stuff like this on the internet. Like I said, some of y'all are giving parent bullies. You want to be able to do and say things to these children and them still be able to just respect you and not say nothing back or lash out. So another commenter said, I hope disrespectful Lexi wasn't there. Nell responds and says, thank you for seeing that and not overlooking the disrespect. And this will prove that Nell is very nice, nasty, passive, and microaggressive to her stepdaughter. And at this point, I don't care what y'all try to make of it. It's clear as day. I know some people are going to intentionally not see what is here in front of our face because it'll be too much of a reflection of themselves. But like I said, Nell is a woman of a particular age with children and grandchildren. Her stepdaughter has expressed in what I believe on multiple occasions how she feels like she is an outsider. She then went on national television and got into a dispute with her family that ganged up on her. And granted, that could be just from our perspective. Then Nell goes on social media and responds to negative comments about her. In my opinion, Nell and Lexi have some type of resentment and animosity toward one another. And like I said in my last video, the part 1 breakdown about women and their ego when it comes to dealing with men that already have children. In my opinion, this was an ego move and not a move of a mother. It's also telling of her viewpoint and thoughts of Lexi. It shows the lack of empathy that she has for her stepdaughter that her stepdaughter had been calling out. And I'm getting the vibes that maybe I was wrong and maybe Nell is a shut up and do what I say so. And I'm not knocking that, but it would also be the reason why Lexi fails to respect her, because your children are human. Oftentimes we are teaching children to respect elders no matter what, and I think that is flaw in our teachings because there are a lot of elders that do not deserve respect. Are we supposed to respect a apis because he's my elder? And we also don't know where Lexi's mom come into play in all of this. And Lexi was not even a year old when Chris and Nell got together. So I absolutely believe that played a big part in all of this. However, like I said in my last video, I also believe the reason why there is a sibling rivalry is because Nell is the type of woman that talks about Alexi to her daughters, which is why they have that built up animosity toward Alexi. If Nell would do something like this on social media, she would absolutely talk trash about Alexi to her daughters. And lastly, somebody responded under that post and said, I'm really starting to love them. At first, I thought they were a messy couple on the show because at first production did show their success in Beautiful Family. So I'm assuming she meant didn't show their success in Beautiful Family. I think they were meaning to say they only showed them in other couples' business. Anywho, happy holidays, Miss Nell and family. So Nell responds and says, thank you so much. We are not messy people, just humans trying to help out others and or long-term friends. But trust me, we are aware that we have our own family issues, bullish, and production is acknowledging acknowledging that now. But besides all that, happy holidays to you and your family as well. And thank you for your support. I do like seeing Nell family dynamic on the show and the Fletchers. I feel like the Fletchers are receptive to the criticism. That don't mean they're gonna listen, but I feel like they're not losers. They know their role. They know that they're on a reality TV show and they have this interesting family dynamic and people are gonna want to talk about it. So I appreciate them nonetheless. They know they have family stuff that they need to work on. I hope they are not offended by some of the things that I'm saying, but they can also take heed to it. I also hope that we can get to know more about the Fletchers. I hope that they do not write Lexi off completely, because I would love to know more about her story, her side of the story, her version, her perspective, her experiences, her mother, who she is, her mother's experiences. I really want to know about Kayla, because Kayla seems feisty. She seems witty. I'm intrigued by her. She's fashion forward. She's a really good school girl, it seems like, on her Instagram. She's popular, it seems like. She's well educated. And I want to know more about Kiki. Kiki seems to be a go-getter. She seems to be in her own world, doing her own thing. She has a baby. Lance has a whole family. He got 2 kids. Lance's wife is beautiful, by the way. Chris is a rapper, and he's just living wild, young, and free. Regardless, there's so many things that I want to know more about the Fletchers and unpack. They can really carry this show. They can carry their own show. It's so interesting. Y'all get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit the post notification bell so you guys are up to date each and every time that I upload.
Sure you block me, bitch.
How can I believe her?
How can you not believe this? Always happens all the time.
This is why I told your ass don't bring her.
It happens.
This is why I told your ass don't bring her. That's a dig.
At most of the dinners. I mean, as much that we've done for her.
She comes here, sees stuff, and she wants what everybody else has. It doesn't work like that. It's not fair.
I want to know, why doesn't it work like that for her when Chris is her daddy? Kiki, neither one of these people are your biological parents. So why does it work like that for you and not her? And that's her biological father.
Like, I could have reached around the table and smacked her ass.
Her level of animosity can come from the fact that she don't have her dad, or her dad might not be active, and Lexi has a seemingly active, loving father, and Kiki might feel like Lexi is taking advantage of that, or she's ungrateful for that. Again, because you're hating on what she has, you can't put yourself in her shoes. Or, I don't know, maybe Lexi just be doing too much and the family just can't keep coddling her. But I just don't feel like it's giving coddling. It's giving ignored to me.
There's just no point with Lexi. She do this every time, and I'm really just had it with her at this point.
As painful as it is, to hear it, she's still our daughter. I'm always going to love her. I'm still going to love her. Still our child.
And I can respect that for you.
And then she says, and I can respect that for you. Another cold dig. It's passive, it's mean, it's manipulative, coming from a stepmother.
All y'all ganging up on me like I was not treated differently. I'm sorry. What car did Taylor drive? She grabbed the
Yeah, I pull up, roll the window down it. I pull up, roll the window down it. Yeah, I pull up, roll the window down it.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. 'Cause the love you give, you can't replace. It's not in
In the kids of anybody.
That's why I'm mine. I spend my life